so I'm on a good deal right
now. So when did Robin's news stop? I didn't know that.
Robin's news stopped immediately with COVID. So COVID hit March 12th. He missed that show. Then the whole next week they were off. That was a planned vacation. It had nothing to do with COVID.
Fine.
So then he comes back on air, and it's all
remote. Okay.
It was all over Zoom, and that's fine. Everyone.
No, March 2020. I'm not giving one any shit. So they're trying to cobble a show together. They can't have somebody put together a bunch of headlines for her to read and they could riff on?
No. Robin's news vanished immediately, and it was never discussed. And now here's what happened over some months during that time on the wrap-up show. I'm sorry, the Howard Stern.
The Howard Stern wrap-up show, right? That was another one of the 2013 things.
Yes.
You had to refer to it as the Howard Stern wrap-up show, and what was the wrap-up show went to shit.
Absolutely. It was horrible.
Yeah.
So Gary said that Robin's news went away because there is no other news than COVID, and they discuss it the whole show long. Then later that summer, Jimmy Kimmel is the only one who is able to inject any kind of realism into the show these days. I've got some great examples when we get into it, but the very first summer during COVID, Kimmel said to Howard, "What happened to Robin's news?" And Howard said, "We don't have the technology to do it from home." And Kimmel actually said, "How much does a printer and CNN cost?" And Howard didn't like it. Howard shut it down immediately. So
interesting.
Robin's news vanished, and piss poor explanations were given, and I don't expect it to ever come back.
No. So in broadcast from his basement, which we already know, and that is still happening 4 years later. Those of you who say you're just mad because he didn't, no, still, this is a mentally ill human being. So of course the embarrassing Zoom interviews, we already know that. I showed that picture.
Can you imagine? He wanted Mick Jagger his whole life, and he won't even leave his basement for Mick Jagger. This is Steve Martin and Martin Short.
Yeah.
They were of the first to be interviewed, where they're expected to haul ass up to Sirius XM studios in Midtown Manhattan.
Yep.
To talk to Howard on a TV.
Yeah.
Why can't they do that from home?
Yeah, it's so stupid. And anyone like this picture with this ghost skeleton-like guy on the fucking TV really sums up. Really, you kind of almost don't have to say anything else. This is what the show is now.
This is what the Howard Stern show has become. Yet he insists on doing interviews. It's like the bulk of his show is interviews.
Well, yeah, we knew that. I mean, we knew that was. Look, our speculation is that when they had these meetings in 2012, this whole consultant, let's discuss how we're going to do this before Turk got hired and everything changed. I think that was the thing. Like, look, man, we're going to have to shift this to doing this, and we're going to have to try and sidestep anything we've done in the past. And then you get the Pelican brief, and then come the Zoom interviews, and then you get summer's off. Wasn't he always off in the summer?
No. And this pisses me. This is
at least part of the summer, a couple weeks.
He was never allowed more than 2 weeks off at a time, but he would take 2 weeks off in the summer. But no, now he takes the entire months of July and August off. And in 2021, in the last week of June, the way he introduced this to the staff, to the fans, was, and we're going to take our normal, he called it our normal summer break, but we will be back in September. See you after Labor Day. And everyone was like, what the hell? That's not your normal.
It's this Jedi mind trick. We're just gaslighting you. We're gonna we always took the whole summer off.
Total gaslighting. So starting in 2021, now I wouldn't mind if he took the summer off if, let's say, 2 days a week Sal and Richard had a show or something like that. But no, this is behind a paywall.
So what is he broadcasting this? It's just
nothing. It is replays of his shows from that have already aired. There's nothing new. Nothing new. No specials, nothing.
So we discussed this too. So what used to be, they used to have real phone calls, at least mostly real, right? And hell, he used to get in fights with some of the people who would call. And it went to completely like, even, and I've heard some clips of this, and it is so cringe. I mean, it's just like, it's not even the same show.
It is comical because you can actually hear. There was this one caller a couple years ago calling in regularly. Her name was Dry Lisa. She sounded exactly like the Joan Rivers impersonator. It's clearly a staff member. It's just not even a joke. And then the other thing they do that Radio Gunk, the podcast that is a hate listen show, has learned is they contact regulars like King of All Blacks, and they're like, okay, we're going to give you a topic to introduce. Marianne from Brooklyn, Bobo. We're going to give you a topic, and you call in with this. Like, you're not allowed to break script. They'll pick up on you, and it'll be a live call, but it's scripted.
Yeah.
It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace.
And this is the part I find fascinating. So the past does not exist. So like, expound on that. I saw this bullet point and I'm like, so they don't play old shows, like not even replays on 101 of like stuff from 07 or 08, nothing.
They play old stuff, but it's heavily edited. So for example, I don't know if you remember Gary's first pitch at the Mets game.
Of course, yeah.
It was 2009, I think. I don't remember what year it was, but it was Artie was still.
Oh yeah, Artie wrecked him. Yeah.
Artie was a huge part of that. Artie is edited out completely of any rebroadcasts of that bit. Scott the engineer is never mentioned. Scott.
Oh, that's right, because he's persona non grata now.
Scott is never, ever. You will never find the Scott the engineer push-up bit on 101. You'll never find it.
Oh my God.
JD was, Dan, I don't know if you know this. JD was never married. Did you know that JD was never married? JD's divorced now. They basically broadcasted the wedding. I mean,
what do you mean? So wait a minute. What do you mean by he was never married? What does that mean?
JD's divorced now.
No, I know that, but like, why does that matter to the show one way or the other?
I don't know that it does matter to the show one way or another, but you are never allowed to mention, it never comes up, that JD was married. It's just.
How do you know it's not allowed to come up?
I don't know. It's just never brought up. And that's the whole tone of the whole show. Brent never worked on the show. Shuli never worked on the show.
Yeah.
Jackie certainly never worked on the show. The amount of stuff that simply does not exist is unbelievable. And Howard used to refer to that stuff. Like, even after Billy West left, you were at least allowed to say Billy West's name.
I am reminded of a Dee Snider quote, and I sent this to you. He did a podcast episode years and years ago on their falling out. And he said, if Howard's mad at you, he talks about you on the air. If Howard's really mad at you, you cease to exist.
Yep.
That's what he said. This was years ago, but yeah. I mean,
Howard must hate everyone who's no longer on the show.
Well, yeah, I mean that, but again, I think if you mix Howard's way, which is if I hate you, you don't exist, with the way corporate America works, which is once you're out of that organization, you might as well be off the planet. Yeah. Like, we don't talk about people who used to be here. Like, so I think that's basically what did it. Sure,
but Howard never operated that way in the old days.
No, of course not. No, I mean, even if he would, but yeah, I mean, but it's a long list of people that he won't talk about. That's what's funny about it. Yeah, it's not like it's just Artie. It's everybody.
It is. It's Richie Wilson. It's everybody. And they spent so much time on JD's marriage that
they did.
I would think they would spend some time on JD's divorce.
I mean, that's a tough one. I'll be honest. As much as I am with you on all of this, it might be that JD doesn't want that. I mean, I can understand that.
I don't think it's JD's decision. It never has been. I think it's Howard's decision. I don't know if he's like, it's boring. It's not what I want to talk about.
Well,
I
that
don't think Howard
that life was awful. So I'm glad he's divorced. We predicted that.
Of course.